Bhutan is located high in the Himalayas. Once isolated from the rest of the world, this country is now unique. Many years of isolation have allowed the kingdom to preserve its identity, Buddhist traditions, unique architecture, and pristine nature. The absolute monarchy is still welcomed by the Bhutanese, despite the constitutional reforms. The Supreme Lama is the next person after the king, and only after him, the government. Bhutan is the only country in the world whose official religion, Tantric Buddhism, is proclaimed a spiritual heritage. The Buddhist teachings were brought here by Guru Padmasambhava, who is revered by locals on a par with the Tathagata. The Bhutanese government declares happiness of every citizen their main goal, and even created a state gross national happiness commission. Our club went on a journey to see this amazing country with our own eyes, visit the places of power, and connect with its energy.
Bhutan has been great. This is my first time visiting this country, and I'm absolutely in love with it. Its tranquility, peacefulness, friendliness of Bhutanese people are just amazing.
Bhutan is a very special place. I didn't realize it growing up in India, and now that I'm here, I'm very grateful that I'm here. Bhutan is very unique. It's very authentic, it's unspoiled. It's almost like a country that hasn't been touched by the time passing by the world. We feel this magic here.
Bhutanese consider themselves the happiest people in the world, and their country is considered the happiest country in the world. And it's, from seeing the way they live, the way they talk, the way they act, the way they are with us as tourists, visitors, I can tell you that I might actually agree with the statement. Maybe they are the happiest people in the world. Bhutan is a beautiful country, very clean, everybody is very friendly, but still you can see that they are not the richest people in the world. But yet there's so much warmth, there's so much kindness in their hearts. They're very friendly, very polite, that you would think that a person who is not happy inside, it would be very tough for a person like that to act this way. So I do agree that actually, yeah, maybe they are the happiest people in the world.
I like the whole country because it's a really good place, interesting. It's a good balance between nature, between the spiritual living, between some modern things like airports, some good roads. And if we are talking about some places we've been, some spiritual places, some Buddhist places, I like this Yoshitsigal cave. I've been there alone for a while, and this was really, really deep.
It's unbelievably beautiful. First of all, the setting is beautiful. Second of all, we had to climb the mountain to get there. It was like pilgrimage. And when you reach, finally, the destination, the feeling that you were somewhere in a place so sacred was overwhelming. In each temple that we visited, there are several temples within the tigress nest. There was a special energy, special power that you feel instantly. And you feel that this place is really used. There were monks practicing. It was not touristic, it was not commercial. It was really authentic and unique. Plus, of course, you would see that the people take a good care of these places. The craftsmanship, the statues are of incredible quality. That's something you wouldn't see in many places. And the whole feeling is just absolutely incredible. And of course the setting, the mountains, the sun, the birds singing everywhere, it's just magical.
It was really surprising to me to see how they have built it. I was wondering how these monks have managed to get there, because this cliff is right vertical. So this one I like the most. We have visited a very interesting cave which is right next to this tiger nest called the Tiger Cave. And this is a cave where an ancient yogin, Gyoshe Tsogel, have meditated for a long time. This was a really unique cave to visit and try to somehow get to a point of meditation.
There are multiple, I think each place is super powerful, but where I felt a very personal connection with was Padmasambhava's temple, where they also have the temple of the future Buddha, Buddha Maitreya. And also, maybe our guide won't like it, also the cave of Yeshe Sogel. We kind of made it inside, and later he told us we weren't supposed to, but I think I felt a very strong connection with her. So those are two of my favorite ones.
There were so many places that I like, but I think it's just still very vivid in my memories. The first place we visited when we arrived to Bhutan, it's the largest statue of Buddha in the world, and Bhutanese are hoping that this will be the 8th wonder of the world. Its height about 51 meters, and the energy there is just amazing. Our guide later on told us that the statue was put on holy ground, so Bhutanese view and consider this beautiful spot a place of power, a holy place.
The pristine nature of Bhutan is protected as the main national treasure. It is prohibited to cut down the forests and kill animals on the territory of the kingdom. Small towns and villages located in the picturesque gorges among the purest mountain rivers are unlikely to leave you indifferent. Despite the fact that 72% of Bhutan's territory is covered by forests, active planting of trees still continues. A total ban on the sale and use of tobacco was introduced in Bhutan in 2004, but the ban on smoking in public places was first introduced in the middle of the 17th century. Bhutan is rich in cultural and historical sites. Buddhist fortresses and monasteries are still inhabited by more than 7,000 monks. Even now, monasteries are the major centers of spiritual and cultural life, preserving Buddhist shrines, artifacts of Tibetan culture, and temple paintings. Climbing mountains higher than 19,000 feet was prohibited in Bhutan in 1994, out of respect for local faith. In 2003, mountaineering was completely banned. Our guide explained to us that all mountains here are declared sacred, as they are considered the residence of Buddhas and deities, so it is inappropriate to disturb them. Pristine environment, respect for culture, and spirituality of local residents create a great impression. Tour participants noted that practicing yoga in these places helped them get a unique spiritual experience. Bhutan is different from its neighbors India and Tibet by almost a complete isolation from the outside world. When you are there, you literally feel beyond time and space.
I would say maybe a couple places I would want to come back to irrespective, because I'm hoping I'll grow from this experience. And when I come back again, I will have the connection, but maybe I experience or learn or explore different things about myself through these places. So I think this whole experience has been very powerful. I think one of the good things is I didn't come with much expectations or I have to have these experiences or anything. But certain realizations did dawn upon me in very strong ways, which some people might find, kind of strange. But from the meditations, I think we did a great job with respect to preparing people to get into the mindset from evening Om chanting to, in the morning practicing pratyahara, dharana, dhyana. Like all these concepts are very bookish for me so far. So though I still have a long way to go with respect to the meditations, but I still think, the overall approach has been very incredible. The lectures, they are not just some random information, they are actually very deeply tied to our practices as well as these places. So they help you kind of get all this information from the outside, But in some ways, I do think they help you go inside as well. And through these places, you find your own connections. Again, I don't know if my words are doing justice to it, but I have realized a few things, certain, maybe it visions, awareness, or realizations, which I know I can go back and take into my life. They're not something that I'll just be like, oh, that was good, and I'll forget about it. I know I can live it and hopefully grow with those.
This country is a really high level of hospitality. People are really friendly. It's really clean, nice rooms, perfect service. It's great. I was not expecting this kind of service here. A lot of good, interesting information about the country, about different people. It was a lot of nice lectures. This is a really calm place, and it's hard to explain by the words. You have to be here, you have to see all surroundings, you have to travel, you have to talk with these people, and then you can feel it. But it's great. I'm already thinking about next Bhutan.
The service and accommodation and food were of extremely good quality. You feel that the tourism is just developing here and they adhere to the highest standards. People are extremely hospitable, extremely polite. They want to please you in any way. And in our group, there are some people who only eat raw food, for example, or we would ask for honey or lemon and it would just appear. In many places in the world, they would just say, no, we don't have it, but they seem to have it all. It was great service. And the accommodations, they're all also authentic houses, beautifully decorated, wooden, with painted. You could just admire the setting and accommodation. It was great.
Bhutan is a very tranquilo place. They don't really have a lot of cars. They have no traffic at all, and everything is very calm, and no rush at all. With these regards, I think this country is very specific comparing to the West. It was beyond my expectations, I would say. The food and accommodation and services, it was all far beyond expectations. Everywhere we had hot water and showers and very delicious food. You can just travel as a Western tourist and you will be able to, if you wish to go sightseeing, if you wish to go to some energy places, but every time you will return to your hotel, you will find a reasonable accommodation and a good food.
I was pretty much blown away by the service, I didn't expect it, but I wouldn't say that because I didn't have expectation, that's why it's good. I actually think even if I had expectations, the schedule is thought through, the accommodations are very thoughtful. Bhutanese people are very, very welcoming, and the food, it's very organic. And a few friends scared me that, hey, you won't find any vegetarian food in Bhutan, which is totally not true. The vegetables are fresh, you can feel the energy. It's been amazing that way. When they say, of course I wikied it, that was as far as my research went on Bhutan, looking at Wikipedia. So I heard about, the gross happiness quotient. And it sounded like interesting as a concept, but then you can actually feel it from our guides to the dogs here. Actually, this one's squeaking, but usually they're very happy. To overall philosophy of non-violence, like bad for Indians, but they get even their meat from India. There's the whole concept of non-violence for each life. And you can see it's very thoughtful. It's a very special place, and I didn't really know it till I stepped foot in this country.
The service in Bhutan is just amazing. I mentioned that Bhutanese people are very polite, and we saw that when we were going to dinners, lunches, breakfast. We were served as if we were, visiting a 5-star hotel. We were served this smorgasbord of vegetarian food, and every day the food was different. You could choose anything you want, starting from cabbage, potatoes, carrots, all kinds of cabbage meals, like I said, Indian food. So for people that only eat vegetarian food, this place is just the top. There are so many choices, so you will not be hungry, trust me. Coming to Bhutan, I actually had very low expectations, to be honest with you. But when we arrived to our first hotel, I was just stunned. First of all, the decor is primarily Bhutanese, very traditional. So you immediately can see the reflections of their culture, of their traditions, even just from viewing and seeing the decor. Everything is very clean. They clean the room every day. They always ask if you need anything else. So in terms of accommodations, like I said, I'm just more than satisfied.
The trip itself, the tour that Omru organizes, is very informative. I didn't know what to expect. For about 10 years, I was dreaming to come to Bhutan and Nepal, and it was a great combination. And then it was yoga, which I love, and I thought it would be just great that I would do yoga and would see, travel in this beautiful country and see these powerful places, unspoiled. But in addition to that, I discovered that the information that people were also giving during lectures or after or before visiting a place, we would have a little meeting and people would explain, and it was extremely in-depth information. We had a tour guide, and the tour guide would explain the history very briefly, as you normally would expect from a tour guide. But then the people from the Omru Club, they would give such a deep, in-depth information, citing the sources, recommending further readings, that it was fantastic. And currently I'm reading a book about one of the personalities. It's just fascinating. It puts the information into the context and gives the much more deep understanding of the culture, of Buddhism, much more than it would be a normal, an ordinary tour, I would say. Now I'm thinking India must be fascinating as well. With the information that you receive with this club, I would definitely go somewhere else. We're soon going to Nepal. I'm looking forward to that as well. But also India, perhaps northern India or any other part related to yoga would be very interesting indeed.
I have heard of different yogis of the ancient times before, but every time I tried to remember the names, like this Yoshe Tsogel, Trisonda Seng and others, for me it was completely impossible to remember because it was something very strange. But now it's in my mind, so it's quite interesting to know these things. I would definitely go once again, and I would also recommend others to go.
I almost feel the learnings here are so valuable and they are not bookish, and that's what I personally like, very practical. Like Andrey, he's not just talking about scriptures that, maybe, of course, reading scriptures is also tough. I'm not like diminishing its value. But it's not like a professor, you go to a professor, he reads it and okay, you take notes, all good. I think what's incredible and what's invaluable are the life examples that he gives. He's practiced everything, and not just him. I think the whole group is very special. I personally think I'm the one who's gaining the most because I just quit my job 2 days before I came here. I was so entrenched in the corporate job. I think every person here is very unique, very special, and they have so much to offer. And it's life experiences. It's not bookish knowledge. It's not people saying, oh, you must be Pitta, Vata, Kapha, based on these things I read this year. So that's valuable. And secondly, I think there's no, sugarcoating anything here, which I personally appreciate. I studied in India as well as the US, and I'm grateful to my education in both the countries. But certain countries have higher tolerance for the truth than others. And I think the approach that Omru is taking, it's very direct. There's no sugar coating, and it's like, hey, this is the truth. And it kind of hits you at times, but at the same time, people are living the truth every day, and it really inspires you to improve yourself and work on yourself.
This was really great. So we got Hatha yoga in the morning, then meditation, then mantra chanting in the evening. So I think it's enough. 2 weeks doing this each day, it's really, really good.
The logistics of the trip was very well thought through. Every morning we would wake up and have a meditation, and then followed by Hatha yoga. Anybody who would like to participate, they could participate. Other people who would like to do something else, they would do their own thing. And after that, we would go to a breakfast. After breakfast, every day we would travel to a new place. We would always stop for lunch, eat this, like I said, this amazing vegetarian smorgasbord. And after lunch, we would go to another place. We would always come back by 5 or 6 o'clock to have our dinner and rest. And after dinner, we always had maybe a lecture or chanting of mantra Om, or some just getting together and communicating with the rest of the group. So it was very fluid, very organic.
Though people have been like so kind, and I actually thought I'll end up talking to my teacher, Maria, but actually I'm so grateful. Everyone has opened their heart to me, and they're really guiding me, advising me, sharing their experiences, and that's where the true essence of the trip is. So it's not just about, clicking great pictures, posting on Facebook. It's way more than that. Things that you can take in the present moment from the practices, from the people, but actually you can take beyond the trip through the practices that you can practice daily, as well as hopefully the relationships or the connections that you'll make with these amazing people. So I would consider myself very fortunate if I can make another trip with Omru.
Prior to going to each place, we would have a lecture about the place we were about to visit, or a significant yogi or teacher that was associated with this or that temple. So that was very useful. Prior to visiting the place, we would always know where we were going. And our guide was very informative and very knowledgeable to tell us the history about the temple or the history of that place. So I found them very useful and informative. In addition to that, our lead teacher, Andrey Verba, was giving us lectures in which we could learn some practical knowledge, not necessarily about the place, but also the practices that we learned in the morning. And that was maybe one of the most valuable parts about this trip, that you could practice and also learn some new practical knowledge about the practice that you were doing. Absolutely would love to come back to Bhutan. There are so many places that I would like to visit. There are places in central Bhutan, there are places in the eastern part of Bhutan. So yes, absolutely, any day. Actually, this is my third trip with Omru, so I'm a big fan of their trips, just the way they organize the schedule, the information, and the knowledge that we get on each trip is, you cannot put it into words, it's indescribable. So any trip you take, whether it's Bhutan, Nepal, India, Russia, any place that you go to, it always comes down to you, to what you learn about yourself. So every trip I take, I look at it as an opportunity to learn something new about myself. So there were a few revelations or things that I found out about myself and learned about myself that maybe I won't talk about them on the camera, but so definitely that was the most significant part for me. I did get to know myself a little bit better.
I experienced several times quiet and undescribable feelings. Sometimes there was extreme tranquility and being at one with nature, with the universe, if you could say that. And at some places, you would feel really powerful feeling, like a warning. So powerful it was. It depended where, even depended on which statue you look at, for example, in the temple. Even in Tiger's Nest, as I mentioned before, different temples inspire different feelings. So I don't know how it could be explained. In general, this country instills tranquility into me. In the morning when I wake up and look in the surroundings, in the mountains, and listening to the birds, it's just calming, forgetting everything about in the world, all the troubles go away. I felt happiness here. It's a country of happiness. It inspires happiness within.
The last Shangri-La, the land of the happy people, the kingdom of the thunder dragon, are just some of the poetic expressions used to describe Bhutan. This is truly a kingdom that seeks to preserve its traditions and go its own way in our diverse world.